It wasn't supposed to be magi, you know. Not in Israel. Not in a story like this. Not when you're looking for a hero. It's not supposed to be the magi. Oh, yes, we all have sort of burnished down the edges of who these people really are, because you have the same picture in mind that I do when we hear the word magi. We come to this day of little kids looking cute in their bathrobes with the construction paper crowns on, but that's not who we're talking about. It wasn't supposed to be magi. These are not kings, although they give kingly gifts. These are pagan priests. They are horoscope fanatics, and seeking horoscopes was something that was condemned in Israel. In fact, a little bit later in the Bible, in Acts, we have Paul encounter one of these magi as he's out and about, and he screams at this guy, "You are the child of the devil and undermining everything that is right." Magi are outsiders and foreigners. They don't belong here. But more than that, they're horoscope fanatics. These are the psychic hotline operators, fortune tellers, dabblers in chicken gizzards. These are the ones who don't belong and that we ought never turn to. Oh, no, they don't belong in a story like this. These magi, with their strange accents, odd hairstyles, weird clothes, and language so thick you can hardly understand as they stand here before Herod in the throne room. Oh no, it's not supposed to be magi. Not in a story like this. Not in Israel. If it was up to us, and we want to look for a king, we want to look for a hero, somebody to admire and to follow, we wouldn't look to these foreigners, these undocumented travelers over here. We'd be much more likely to look to Herod, right? Politics. Insiders. The ones whose words can make a difference. Who can order people around and things happen. If not Herod himself, the sort of political leader of the era, then how about the people that are around him supporting and making sure that everything happens just the right way? That's where we're used to looking for heroes of the story. And if not them, then maybe we look a little bit further aside to the religious leaders that are there with him, whose job it is to explain how everything Herod does is wonderful and God's will, and surely Herod will never do anything to hurt the nation. We would look there, because these are the insiders, the ones that we are used to admiring, seeing as powerful, seeing as the ones we ought to be following and emulating. That's where we would be used to looking, not to these magi. It's not supposed to be magi, you know. Not in a story like this, and not in Israel. And yet here they are. They smell of these weird spices, this odd cooking. You can hardly understand them. Their accent's so thick as they say, "Where is he?" And of course, over here, on this side of the room, Herod is already planting those seeds of the order that will follow. The order that's going to send soldiers into Bethlehem to break into every home and to kill every child, just in case. So maybe it needs to be magi after all. Maybe we need those magi, because the truth is we all have a little bit of Herod in us. Those same traits run through all of us too, in uncomfortable ways. I watch the news. I read the newspaper. I hear these stories of things going on in the country of Yemen, where there has been a war going on for 4 years now. And in those 4 years, one recent estimate guessed that have been about 58 children per day for 4 years who have died of malnutrition there. And I read these and my heart breaks, and I see the pictures of them with their super thin arms and things like that, and I start to tear up, and I say to myself, oh, but that's so very far. This war that our nation has been supporting is so far away. What can I do? Or maybe I look closer to home and I hear other stories of children who die under our care and in our keeping, and I say, oh, but what can I do? Or even here in Valparaiso, where I remember that there are children in this town who will go to bed tonight hungry because they haven't been in school to have enough to eat. And I say, what can I do? Or I hear the stories of families with their children who are living out of cars here in town. And I forget to work for the day when everybody can afford a place to live. There's a little bit of Herod that runs through all of us. Those same traits are in all of us, the same ones that are going to send Mary and Joseph and Jesus as refugees into Egypt, running for their lives, seeking sanctuary in a foreign country. The same strains that run through me and through you that in just a little while will send Jesus as a convicted felon to that cross right outside Jerusalem. Maybe we need it to be the Magi, so that this story can tell us about ourselves and about God. Because look at what happens with these Magi. Look how God works with them. God comes to them where they are. These are foreigners. These are not followers of the God of Israel. They've probably hardly heard of him, and yet God comes to them where they are. Then God speaks to them in ways that they can understand. To astrologers, people who study the stars, God comes and speaks with a star. As they begin to respond, they find Jesus. Not in the way they would have expected. That's why they got to Jerusalem. They missed by 9 miles. But where God will actually show up and how God actually works. As they respond, they discover Jesus. And they return home changed. The gospel read it as they returned home by a different path or a different road. It's really another way. And in the gospels, the earliest followers of Jesus were known as the people of the way. They change because they have encountered Jesus. They have seen the gift. Now think about that in your own lives too. Think about the times when God has been at work and look for that as well. God always comes down. It is God who initiates, because if it was up to me, I would always rather it be by my own work, because then I feel like I'm in charge and I feel like I can admire myself a little bit more. I will be the last one to turn to God, but God comes to me first. God always comes down. And God speaks to us in ways we can understand, ways we can learn. That's one of the reasons you are here today. God gives us communities and these opportunities to practice, to learn together, to look for God's fingerprints and listen for God's voice. I need you in my life to help teach me and to say, hey, Pastor, did you notice that? That might be a God thing. And together we learn how to watch for God at work. We learn how to listen for God coming to us. And as we respond, we discover Jesus. In bread and wine, in spoken word and song, in community and hugs and the wisdom that we share, in service and in life, we discover that Jesus is there and is the gift to us and to the world. Whether it is with the fellowship you share with sisters and brothers, whether it is in the shy smile of somebody that you have encountered and shared a little bit of grace with, Whether it is in the hand on our arm as somebody cares for us in what we are going through, or the response as we in turn care for others. Whether it's in the eyes and the face of somebody who leaves us uncomfortable. We discover Jesus as we respond. And we discover and remember that Jesus is the gift not for us, but for the world. And then we are changed. Then we have been filled with the gift, and we need to shine with that gift. Because Jesus loved us enough to show up. We want others to know that as well. We are changed too. So maybe it has to be the Magi. Maybe we need them. These outsiders who are a little uncomfortable and go against the grain. The ones who make us just a little squirmy. They are a reminder to us of who God is and who Jesus is. That star shone not just on Israel, not just on the United States, but was for the whole world. It reminds us that Jesus is not ours and is not the gift just for us. Jesus doesn't belong to respectable sorts, but Jesus comes for those who leave us uncomfortable and who don't belong, we don't think. They remind us that Jesus is a gift that we don't expect and we cannot earn. But that God comes to us as and who we are in ways we can understand. And then we discover grace, the love of God given as a gift that you can't do anything about, and we are transformed. So maybe we need the Magi because here we are. Here we are. We've come to see Jesus. You will receive him in your hands in just a moment. You've seen him in each other and you've heard his voice. Here you have found Jesus and discovered the gift. And here you are being filled and transformed. This is where you have found the gift of Jesus. The gift of Jesus for the world that is dying for this. Neighbors and friends and siblings and sisters and children and co-workers who are dying for this gift. And here you've received it for free. Here you found the gift of Jesus. Now what are you going to do about it?